Geekazine and Geek Smack is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is another episode of that Geekish Smackish show with the showish of the shows. My name is Jeffrey Powers, and we're going to smack some geeks and some tech out of you, including the coffee car, we're going to talk a little bit about that Facebook issues with Netflix and Spotify and all that other stuff. We're going to talk about HP and Yahoo, the changes that have happened in the last couple weeks, and how they can fix their problems that they just created, all so on and so forth. This week, we're brought to you by Telestream and Wirecast. Go over to geekazine.com/PC Wirecast for the PC version, Mac Wirecast for the Mac version, and of course, get yourself this great way to create your own shows over on Telestream and Wirecast. We're also brought to you by Roku. Get yourself a streaming solution so you can watch this show and many others for as little as $59 by going over to geekazine.com/Roku. And then, of course, you can win yourself $100 by downloading the audio version of Stitcher by going over to stitcher.com/geek. And good luck in winning that $100. Now, without any further ado or don't, let's get into your Geek Smack for this week. Oh, hey, how you doing? Jeffrey Powers here. Awkward pause. Welcome to Geek Smack, the place where we smack the geek out of all your tech news, all your geek news, and all your other news. My name is Jeffrey Powers. How you doing this week? Yeah, we've had a couple weeks off. It's been kind of nice. I feel a little bit rested, a little bit relaxed, a little bit happier, a little bit joyouser, I guess. I don't know. Doing a lot over at Geekazine, so go over to www.geekazine.com. As you know, 2 weeks ago, we celebrated the 200th episode of Geekazine. This is episode number 201, so welcome to 201 of Geekazine. We've been doing a lot in the last 2 weeks. Of course, I went out to San Francisco to visit TechCrunch Disrupt and check out all the new startups, and we got a ton of startups. Created a lot of video, which, of course, is still going up on Geekazine, so watch out for that. The Leo Laporte interview on the OTT, talking about the Brick House. Of course, my cohort Adria Richards, who's over at butyou'reagirl.com, did some interviews too. We also did an interview with our friend Sukhjit Gag, who works with Sony, and she showed off the new Sony Tablet S. I was hoping that she had the flip tablet, that she didn't have that, but that's okay. We got to see some of the cool new features coming out on the Sony Tablet S. And then, of course, we're talking about CES. Oh my goodness, I can't even wait till next week, but we got to worry about CES. Tons of CES action happening there. So the last 2 weeks have been filled with video, and we're going to get that up, and we're going to get that done, and go from there. But first of all, we've got to do this. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the TechCrunch Disrupt badge. Sorry about the blurriness. I thought I could do this without making it look so blurry. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take the TechCrunch Disrupt badge and put it into the Geekazine Badge of Honors, which basically is over here. And we'll take that, and we'll put that. What I noticed was I was at TechCrunch Disrupt in New York, and TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco, and I don't know if you can see this, but they look almost exactly the same. And of course, it goes into the Geekazine Badge of Honorarium over there, where with all the other stuff. We'll just do this really quick. Here we go. And basically, that's where all my press badges and stuff like that end up. is right in that area. So TechCrunch Disrupt added to the list there. I'm really happy about that. Of course, if you've got a conference or a show coming up and you want to have your badge added there, just let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com. We'll work out a deal where I come out to your show. I do some video and we talk to some people and have a lot of fun. Another thing here, I don't know if you've seen this. This is the iWave-It. And what it is a way to take your iPhone and turn it into a remote control. It has a lot of cool features here. And I got it right before TechCrunch Disrupt. And of course, they help sponsor some of TechCrunch Disrupt. And basically, you hook it up to your iPhone. You can also hook it up to your computer and act as a remote tool for a TV or for a PC. We're going to be doing a review. I kind of like this. It's kind of like in a little cassette case there. So. But we're going to do some review on that in the next week and talk about the iWave-It. Guy had to get the right remote for my TV because the TV codes changed apparently, and they got that all fixed out and stuff like that. So, hey, Day in Tech History. If you haven't checked out the Day in Tech History over at www.dayintechhistory.com, where there's two basic things. The big thing is the Kickstarter program. If you go over to geekazine.com/Kickstarter, you get to the program. You find out how you can be part of the Day in Tech History podcast. We're going to try and do it sponsorless, but of course, we're going to need your help in backing the show. So you can pledge as little as $1, but if for the $25 level, you become a backer for a day, which means that what I'll do is as I read the tech history, I'll say, hey, this show is brought to you by backers, person 1, person 2, person 3. And then we'll go with the show from there. So a $25 pledge will help you support the show. Of course, there's higher pledges. You can get a whole week's worth of shows. You can get a whole month's worth of shows. And when you do get a whole month's worth of shows, I'll send you all the shows on USB disk, which is pretty cool. But of course, if you can only pledge $1 or $5 or $10, that would be great. The $10 level gets you a bumper sticker that says Day in Tech History, which is not too shabby. So we've got 24 days before that goes bye-bye, so if you're out there, please check it out. Go over to geekazine.com/Kickstarter. That's the easiest way to get there. geekazine.com/Kickstarter. And of course, I'll have that in the show notes there. And of course, the Podcast Awards is in full swing. It's the 7th Annual Podcaster Awards. Now, in years past, I really didn't promote it too much because, it's... I said, hey, if you wanted to be part of it, that's great. But I think we're going to take a run at this and see what happens. So for the next few days, the nominations are in full swing. For the Day in Tech History, please put that under the education category. Education, Day in Tech History. Of course, www.dayintechhistory is the URL. For the special media feed, please put that under Best Produced. Best Produced for the Geekazine special media feed. And then, of course, Geek Smack, don't put it under technology, put it under entertainment. And that's, of course, thegeeksmack.com for that one. And then, of course, whatever else you want to put under categories. And there's a lot of great podcasts out there. So go over to podcastawards.com. Remember, education for the Day in Tech History. That's the most important one right there. All right, we spent way too much time in this area. Let's get into your Tech Smack for the day. Tech Smack. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I forgot about that line. How you doing? My head's cut off. Sorry. Anyway, let's move this over here. Hold on a second. There we go. Now you can see a little bit more of the set and stuff like that. Let's start over on Information Week. Oracle is seeking their Sun revival. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers. I said brothers. Now you got two good sparks. Now you can put them together and create yourself a Sun server. And then you get another Sun server, and you put that on top of the other Sun server, and the Sun server and then the sun goes down on me. Anyway, Oracle's gonna try and of course there's a lot of companies out there that used Sun and Spark machines. So I'm assuming that what they're doing is they want to revitalize it for those people who don't want to move to a different type of server solution. So they announced a new family of Spark servers on Monday that will run the Sun hardware in the Unix market. So you can be more up to date. You can update your hardware and your software and go from there. They created the Spark T4 server chips, and which were basically laid out about a year ago. And with the announcement, they're delivering ahead of schedule with higher than expected performance. So if you are in the Unix realm and you've got yourself some older Spark servers, you can now get ready to do some upgrades. So I don't know. Have you moved off of the Sun machines? Have you gone over to something more PC based, more Intel based? Let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com or Twitter me at Geekazine. Now, there's another question here. Back when I was doing it as the Geekazine Weekly podcast, the one thing that I always highlighted was server stuff. And of course, with GeekSmack, it just doesn't kind of fit in here. But my question is, do I still talk about these types of news articles? Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine, and of course, geekazine@gmail.com. You can go over to Information World for more about that. Sprint, on the other hand, has decided, okay, it's time to let people know when our LTE rollout is going to happen. And I'm glad they are, because that's going to really factor in on whether I get an iPhone through AT&T, through Verizon, or through Sprint. Well, they're saying that it's going to be about 2012, early 2012, that the rollout's going to happen. Of course, this is the LTE network. They have their WiMAX network already in place. But the iPhone is rumored not to work with WiMAX. You never know. They might throw them an extra couple $100,000 and say, "Hey, Apple, you want to hook this up for WiMAX? Could it be done? Could we do it? Could it happen? Come on, you can make it happen, right?" I don't know. But we'll see what happens. But the reality is that the iPhone becoming LTE, and a lot of other phones for that matter. I mean, you got a lot of Android phones that are LTE. Will you be able to use that WiMAX? What will happen to the WiMAX? Is the WiMAX going to be pretty much a dead standard? Or are they going to gear that towards something else? Maybe laptops and desktops or something like that? I don't know. Maybe it's easily convertible to LTE. If you live in the 4G standard, let me know. Is this just something where you just change out a chip and poof, you're in LTE land, or do you have to do something a little bit more? I'm assuming you have to do something a little bit more than to make it from there. But it's sad for the WiMAX standard because they've already got it in place. But what can you do? You got to go with what's the standard out there. So they're expecting that out in the early 2012. So does that mean that you wait for the iPhone, for the iPad until 2012, or do you get one now and pay for features that it probably won't have, or will they work out some sort of deal where you could use LTE from other carriers? I don't know. Once again, let me know, geekazine@gmail.com, if you're going to be getting one. But what do you think of the whole iPhone 5 thing anyway? Is it something that you're interested in, or did you just switch over to Android? So let me know. All right, let's move over to cnet.com. We're going to talk about Delicious. Of course, I went on a tiny little rant this morning because I went to do my show notes, and everything I do my show notes is in Delicious. If you go over to delicious.com/Geekazine, you'll see all the show notes. Like, for instance, with episode 201, you would have seen it, geekazine.com/ I'm sorry, delicious.com/Geekazine/201. Well, when I used the toolbar to try and get the show notes going, it wouldn't let me do that because they went through a major revamp overnight, and of course it affected the toolbar. So the new Delicious, I went on the new Delicious, I logged in. It looks pretty cool. It's very visual. It's definitely using Web 2.0 standards, and it looks a little bit more happy and friendly free than some of the other. I mean, you have StumbleOn, you have Reddit, and all of them kind of look very, I don't know, I don't want to say plastic, but the reality is that they look a little bit, they look outdated. Let's just say it that way. They don't have a pop interface, and with this Delicious, you got a more poppier interface. So I'm gonna look and see if it's something that I'll use more, if it's something that from the Yahoo purchase pile, if they made it better than what Yahoo made it, and go from there. Of course, we'll be talking about Yahoo later. I'm not going to get into the whole Yahoo right now. Just wait. So, but if you want to read more about that, go over to cnet.com. From there, we're going over to the Huffington Post. We're going to talk a little bit about Facebook. And first of all, we're going to talk about this. You probably heard about the app developer that was making the Facebook iPad app. And then, of course, last month, it got leaked out a little bit. They found a way to get into the iPad app, so they downloaded it and used it. And then Facebook tried to close it up, but it was way too late at that point. So they ended up getting that going. Well, Jeff Verkoyan, I hope I pronounced that name right, was the lead developer on the Facebook iPad app. He decided on his blog, and he announced on his blog that he quit Facebook and he's moving over to Google. So congratulations to Jeff to make the switch. I don't know if it's a better switch or not. A lot of people are talking about, oh, Facebook's better, Google's better, blah 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 blah. The reality is, one day Google, right now, Google is pretty darn good, but tomorrow Google could go in the trash and Facebook could rise to the top. I mean, with all these changes that Facebook just did, and then Google did some changes. If you're over on Google Plus, you might have noticed this. They could share circles. And for the last 24 hours, all of a sudden, the popularity on Google Plus it just rose. I mean, literally every 5 minutes, I get about 15 to 20 friend requests or people that have added me to a circle that I might have to add them back. I'm almost to my 5,000 person limit ceiling, which is really great because I have more interaction on Google Plus than I do on Twitter, Facebook, and some of the other social networks combined. So it's great for me. If you're not the type of person that wants that type of exposure, then you might go, I don't want that anymore. But my clout's going to grow, and my people are going to respond to what I do a little bit more, which is great. Now I just have to keep their attention at that point. Anyway, neither here nor there. With Jeff moving from Facebook to Google, it could be the sign of a change, and then again, it might just be the frilly new squirrel, and then you're back to Facebook. I don't know. A lot of businesses are still on Facebook, so you're not going to see it leave anytime soon. But this is definitely a warning sign or a look for Facebook to say, "Hey, wait a minute, what are we doing? Squirrel?" Okay. So anyway, let's move on here. We're going to go over to PC Mag at this point. We're still going to talk about Facebook, though. The F8 conference, of course, happened last week, and I sat there on Thursday and I watched it, and I was pretty impressed with some of the stuff. I liked the timeline. I liked the fact that they are doing the social graphing and all that stuff. They're linking in all these other programs into it. Of course, when we were at TechCrunch Disrupt, which just happened to be in the same exact building, kind of weird, I ran into a lot of companies that had Facebook-driven apps. And that was the one thing that I noticed when I got back from San Francisco. I basically said it on Google Plus and Facebook. I said, with all these applications that people are creating for Facebook, for Google, and nothing for Google Plus really needs to get on the game. And then like 2 hours later, they decided, well, let's produce a version of the API. And I've been told it's not the full API. It's just enough to start doing different things. And of course, companies like Clout have decided to latch onto the API. If you go over to clout.com and log into your profile, you can now add your G Plus profile. So the API has some uses to it, and some people are starting to really get in their hands into the API and go from there. I haven't looked at it myself, one, because I'm not a programmer, and two, I just don't have time. But anyway, there's a lot of things that are happening on Google Plus. Back over at Facebook, they make all these major changes. Netflix comes out and says, "Oh, please, United States, let us do the whole streaming on Facebook thing. We can't do it." Not a really big fan of Netflix right now, even though I still have the streaming side of the service. Of course, the Quick See thing, that now we won't get into that. But another service that seems to be raking up is Spotify. And what they're doing is let's go over here. That's not Spotify. Yeah, looks like it froze up again. Great. I'm going to have to fix that really quick. But anyway, Spotify has decided that the only way to get Spotify now is you got to be on Facebook. So if you don't have a Facebook profile, well, so sad, too bad, bye-bye. You don't get that. Let's see if that worked. Nope, it's still on. Anyway, if you don't have Spotify, then so sad, too bad. Or if you don't have Facebook, so sad, too bad. Yeah, I have little gremlins at the beginning of this 200 for sure. It happens, so we'll get it fixed for the second half there. But anyway, if you want to check that out, you can go over to pcmag.com. They've been getting about 250,000 new users a day. And since they said, okay, Spotify now with Facebook. So, and it's really interesting to see that, because Facebook has instantly gotten a music network, which is something I was always talking about. MySpace always had the music side. Facebook never had a good music side. Well, here you go. There's your music side right there. Spotify. And it's kind of like an iTunes killer. It's literally what iTunes is to iPod. Spotify will be to Facebook. And of course, you can choose some other music programs. You're not held to Spotify. You can use a different music program in there. And that's the other cool thing about that. So a lot of people have been saying, I don't like the fact that I have to hook up my Facebook to run Spotify. I have Spotify. I haven't really done the hookup yet. But then again, the last time I used Spotify was 4 weeks ago. I don't know. What do you think? Do you like the Spotify? You like the way it now integrates with Facebook? Or did you delete your Facebook profile and now you're really upset because you can't get Spotify? Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com. All right. Going from there, I'm going to figure this out in a second here. But for some reason, it's not. Let me see if it does this now. Nope, it's still frozen. All right. There's an Android app out there. And the app is called Is My Son Gay? And I guess on the app page it says, you're questioning yourself 20 questions to know more about your son. And may have proven the answer to a question that might have been since a long time, whatever that means. So there are a lot of sample questions on there. Does he like football? Does he like to dress well? These aren't questions. If you think your son's gay, and I'm not a parent, so if I'm overstepping boundaries, I apologize. But if you think your son's gay, sit down with him and ask the question. I don't know. That just seems to work the best. Son, you can tell me anything. Let me know what your preferences are. And if you don't feel that that's a comfortable question for you right now, we can hold off on it. But I just want to know. Maybe this should be a question that you should ask everybody. Or parents should ask kids, like the birds and the bees. The birds and the bees, do you like the male bees or the female bees? I don't know. This app is probably going to go disappear really, really quick. But I don't know. Have you downloaded this application? What do you think of it? Do you think is an actual application that's really trying to think and ask these questions and get this out in the open, or is this just somebody trying to make a mockery of the whole situation? Let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com or Twitter me at Geekazine. Android is doubling their iPhone in smartphone sales now, and I wanted to show you this little infographic. But basically, it's saying all our smartphone subscribers, last year, 43% were on Android, 28% were on iOS, 18% were on BlackBerry, and 11% were on others like Windows Phone. This year, 3 months later, 56% were on Android, 28% were on iOS, 9% were on BlackBerry, and 6% were on another, like Windows 7. Now, the funny thing about this is the Windows Phone did not make any increase. We expected BlackBerry to make the decrease. And of course, iOS stayed the same, 28% in 3 months. But the increase was through Android. Now, on the other aspect of things, Android's putting out phones left and right. I mean, you have the big old $700 phone all the way down to the $300 Android phone and everything in between. So you start saturating the market. Yeah, you're going to take more of the market share, but are you going to have a better phone? And better yet, the bigger question to really ask is the phone that you just bought something that you really want? Is it something that's going to be useful? Are you going to be frustrated with it 2-3 months down the road? I'm going to tell you something. Non-tech friends that have Androids love the Android at first, hate the Android in 2 to 3 months. At least that's my observation. I don't have any scientific data behind it, but the reality is, and ask your friends. Did you get an Android phone? Do you love your Android phone? Did you love it when you bought your Android phone? A lot of people, they've changed their minds on Android phones, and I've seen it happen. So don't get these numbers too much. Android could easily turn around and go down the proverbial toilet. Of course, they're taking up some other market share, like Nokia's market share, and that's pretty cool. So, what do you think? Do you think that Android is the best thing in the world, or are you gonna have major problems with it? What about your friends? Ask your friends and then tell me. Geekazine@gmail.com or Twitter me at Geekazine. You can go over to PCWorld.com for this information. Apple loses this trademark big. They put in a trademark for the word multi-touch, and the United States has basically said no. Multi-touch is just it identifies technology. You can't have it. So the Apple was trying for this term multi-touch, which basically is this: I'm multi-touching my face, touching at the same time, moving around at the same time. But the U.S. said no, that's too vague. Don't have it. I give people credit for that. I mean, we could have easily commercialized multi-touch, and if that would have been commercialized, imagine all the other terms that would instantly become trademarked. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't use half the terms. I couldn't if this went through, for example, I possibly wouldn't have been able to say multi-touch ever again. Think about that. So I don't know. Well, at least I wouldn't be able to without paying somebody a couple dollars. Whether it comes down to that or not, that's a different story. But the reality is, that's what could have happened. If you want to read more on it, go over to zdnet.com. Finally, if you're planning to buy an iPhone 5, you can sell your iPhone 4 for $250. This is over on Cult of Mac, and there's a new company called Nextworth that's saying we want your iPhone 4, however it is. It's got to be in somewhat of a good condition. I mean, if you dropped it 32,000 feet from your pocket when you were skydiving, like some people have done, you're probably not going to get that much for it. But if it's in good condition, doesn't have too many scratches on it, it's at least the 16 or 32 gigabyte models. I'm surprised they're not asking for the 64 gigabyte model. There was a 64 gigabyte iPhone 4. I'm pretty sure there was. Anyway, you get $250 for it, and of course a $50 premium over the usual trade-in price. No questions asked. So it looks like they want to have your iPhone 4 because they got a use for it. So if you're planning to get yourself an iPhone 5, maybe this is the time to get it. And I don't know if you've got to sell it now or if you've got to sell it once the iPhone 5 or give it once the iPhone 5 goes away. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, though, if you sell any device like this, any personal mobile device, make sure that you've wiped it properly before you get rid of it, because you never know what data could be on there. So with that said, if you want to sell your phone, go over to cultofmac.com and you can find out more. Of course, we'll have it in the show notes, and they'll be properly linked in the show notes because we had a small little problem with the links because of the fact that my usual pattern was kind of interrupted. In fact, the whole day was kind of interrupted, which is kind of weird. Had a little problem here, had a little problem there. But hey, that's life. That's what you do. That's how you work. That's how you go. So if you have any questions, comments on the first part of the show, let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com or Twitter me at Geekazine. We're going to get you into part 2 right away, but first, we're going to do this. Stop dreaming, start streaming. I like that idea. It's the all-new Roku 2. Ladies and gentlemen, I have myself a Roku 2. And I replaced my old Roku for the new Roku because a lot of different reasons, but the biggest one was Angry Birds. Yeah, I could actually play Angry Birds off of that. And the remote control, which is connected to the Roku 2, lets me use that as a game device. I can play a lot of other games too. There's a lot of cool games. They just came out with some new channels too. If you're a professional wrestling fan, for example, they have TNA Extreme Action, and of course, if you're in the politics thing, then Glenn Beck Channel is one for you. If you're a kid, then hey, the Disney Channel, which was just announced on Roku. This is all over on Roku, and you can check it out. all you have to do is go over to geekazine.com/Roku, geekazine.com/Roku, and of course that'll help the Geekazine, Geek Smack products. And of course, get yourself a Roku streaming system for as little as $59. Of course, if you want the Angry Birds, it's going to be the $99 model, but you'll be able to do a whole bunch of stuff. Watch Netflix, watch Amazon, watch the Tech Podcast Network, which I just happen to be on. Watch a lot of stuff, play a lot of great games, and that's over at Roku. So get yourself a Roku by going over to geekazine.com/Roku. And of course, like I said, it helps the Geek Smack Show and all Geekazine properties. Geek Smack Crap. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, now it's time for that one episode or that one segment we call the Geek Smack Crap, where we find all the cool crap that you can get yourself and your kids and your grandparents or whatever for the holiday season. Of course, we're going to be entering into October, and for the next 4 weeks, we're going to be doing Geek Smack Crap Halloween style, which is going to be really cool, and we'll find you some cool outfits and some cool gear that you can get for Halloween. But this week we've got a couple items, so let's get into it. We're going to go over to the one thing that actually made me start thinking and actually come up with this idea, and that is the Sky Mall. If you go to some of these airports, you can get to the Sky Mall and find all the cool Geek Smack crap that you can get at the Sky Mall. This one's called the Cell Phone Spy Recon. And you've probably heard about this before. Basically what happens is you plug in this little device, it reads cell phones and data, and then it tries to decipher so you can find out what your buddies are saying. Maybe if you're running a fantasy football league, you can find out who's doing trades and stuff like that. Find out if the girlfriend's been cheating on you or the boyfriend's been cheating on you or both of you have been cheating on you. Then you can do a little bit more. I don't know what you would do with that. It's $169 just to make you a little bit more paranoid. So if you're a little bit more paranoid, go over to Sky Mall and get yourself a $169 cell phone spy recon. In fact, instead, if you want to just do it, just go over to geekazine.com. Donate some money to geekazine.com. It's a worthy cause, more than trying to find out if your spouse has been cheating on you. Because a lot of the times, that spouse isn't cheating on you. There's actually a statistic out there. I don't have it off the top of my head. I just thought about it. But there's a statistic saying that people that think that their spouse is cheating on them actually finds out that it's not true. So, anyway, let's go back in. You could ruin a whole marriage or relationship by a simple accusation. Well, if you do love your spouse, if you do love your partner, and you love movies, and you love popcorn, and you love the smell of popcorn, well, maybe you should try this. And that is, over on Archie McPhee, you can get yourself some buttered popcorn air freshener to make your whole place smell like buttered popcorn, which is really cool. And they have some different flavors. I think they have a smell it like bacon flavor, and they have some other flavors and stuff like that. Of course, Archie McPhee's got some great, interesting. Oh yeah, the macaroni and cheese air freshener, the cherry pie air freshener, the toast air freshener, buttered popcorn jelly beans. So I'm gonna go see a movie now. I don't know. Anyway, so it's only $2 for that. So if you're interested and you want to make your place smell a little bit more like buttered popcorn, there you go, right there, buttered popcorn air freshener over at Archie McPhee. And that's your Geek Smack crap for today. Geek Smack. All right, now let's get into your Geek Smack, and I'm a little bit unorganized. There we go. I'm in the right direction here, and all of this stuff is backwards, so I gotta go backwards to forwards to... Anyway, you don't need to know all that, but what you do need to know is this. Somebody made a car and used coffee for fuel. And it broke the land speed record for a vehicle powered by what's called gasification. It clocked at 66.5 miles per hour on average. Basically, gasification works by introducing oxygen or steam to an organic carbon-based material, in this case, coffee beans, and increasing the temperature until synthetic gas made of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and methane is created and burned by a regular internal combustion engine. Therefore, the coffee car, and I'm going to show you a little bit of video on this. We won't get too much into it. But basically, this is over on YouTube. You can check that out. And of course, it's in the show notes, so you'll be able to check it out from there. We won't have the audio. Let's turn off the audio here. I didn't want that. It's a nice sound, though. Coffeecar.org is where you go for that. Yeah, I'm kind of flailing. Sorry about that. Anyway, you can go over to coffeecar.org and check this coffee car out. Yeah, it looks like an older vehicle. You can they remodified the engine, and you can check this over. And it's all also over at the BBC where they did all that. We won't show too much because I don't know if this is a copyrighted video or not. But popsci.com is where I got this article. You can check that out in the show notes. Let's go over to the IEEE spectrum. And this is actually pretty cool. These are robot birds and what are called octoroaches. And they're over at the University of California, Berkeley. They've been flying around and running around there. They have the robots themselves. It's not a good shot, is that? Let's do that. The robots themselves are called bolts, which are called bipedal ornithopter for locomotion transitioning. Whatever that means. They're robots. They're more than meets the eye. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But basically, they're creating these little bugs to check out and play with around Berkeley. So if you're over in Berkeley and you're swatting at something, make sure that it's an actual bug because, you might be swatting at a multi-$1,000 project. And, of course, they create these robots. And the reason why they create these robots is because these could be the robots of the future. Not because it's spies or anything like that, but, if we have another World Trade Center incident, then these robots can be sent out, and they can find survivors. They can find possible problems. If there's a gas leak that they need to attend to, if there's another bomb that's in the building that they need to attend to, things like that, they can take a better shot, a better view, and get to resolution quicker and faster. So that's what I like about it. If you want to read more about this, go over to spectrum.ieee.org, and then you can get that from there. We're going backwards. That's right. Let's go over here to make.com. This is actually pretty cool. If you've ever been to Skulls Unlimited, you know that they make skulls. Well, apparently they made this. This is the Centaur skeleton. And it looks like it was over on Boing Boing, but they say they credit Skulls Unlimited for this, but there's no mention on the site. I did go over to check it out, and I couldn't find any mention of this skeleton on site. But if it is a true Skulls Unlimited skeleton, then they try to make it with as much real bone as possible to make this look. So it could be a real skeleton, a partial skeleton, and probably a horse or another beast of some sort. So pretty cool stuff. You can check this out over at blog.makezine.com, which I was pretty impressed with that. I'm assuming that the price is going to be pretty expensive if you want one of these. So from there, let's check out with you car geeks out there. Of course, we've had cars for a long time. And we know the first Model Ts came out a long time ago in the early part of the century, but cars have been around since the 19th century. And one of these cars is called the Dion Bouton El Trepado 12 steam runabout. And it was a steam car, and of course, this is some of the pictures of it. It was developed in 1884. It's a 127-year-old steam-powered vehicle. It was manufactured in France in 1881 for the Count de Dion, 12 years before Henry Ford made the first Model T. So, ladies and gentlemen, this car is for sale. So if you're interested in buying it, you can check this out. I think it was $1.26 million. I'm sorry, 1.6 million francs or pounds. Is it pounds? Yeah, pounds, not francs. I don't know. And 1.6 million hot dogs, and you can get this car just for you. So if you're a hot dog regurgitator, hey, this is perfect for you because now you got all the hot dogs you could eat. No, actually, it's 1.6 million pounds, which is about close to $3 million if you do the math. I did very rough math. It's more like $2.75 million or something like that. So, but if you want to read more about this, go over to dailymail.co.uk. All right, remember GeoCities? I know there's some GeoCities geeks out there. There really is. Check this out. This is what's called the deleted city. The archive team have created this from 650 gigabytes of data file on GeoCities. I think this is the Athens directory. And like I said, we'll show a little bit of it. I think this is actually, we can actually show this. But if you had a site on GeoCities, it might be in all these little boxes right here. In Athens, he's going to move around. He's going to open up, or he or she, I don't know, I think it's a he, is going to open up one of these sites. You're going to start seeing pictures. In fact, I saw a picture for Heaven's Gate, which I don't know if you remember that, but back in 1997 was the cult that committed suicide because of the Haley Bop. So you see a lot of pictures. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, and you can check out the next GeoCities site. And your page might even show up on there. So if you are on GeoCities, my GeoCities account got hacked a long time ago, and then I switched over to my own domain. So, and I never looked back after that. So I actually like to thank the person that hacked into my GeoCities account and deleted everything. He went by a Batman name, if I remember correctly. Because if it wasn't for him, then I would have went to a regular website. And if I would have went to a regular website, then I probably wouldn't have a website. Or I'd be on Angel Fire or something like that. So thank you very much. If you want to read more about this, go over to Mashable.com. For all you... I don't know. For all of you Star Wars geeks out there, apparently everybody says, oh, this looks like a humongous rave. There's lots of people dancing and partying. Well, the reality is it's not a rave. It's the largest lightsaber fight ever. And of course, they had all these lightsabers and they did these little duels and back and forth, had a little bit of fun with it. And they took some pictures. And of course, if you go over to io9.com, you can check out some of these pictures. They've got, Gothamist took some pictures. New Mindscape took some pictures. And so you can check this out. It's one of the largest Star Wars lightsaber battles at Washington Square Park. So check that out, io9.com. All right, last part of Geek Smack. We'll get you into the feature section, and we'll go from there. Biologists are saying, "Hey, the ferrets are back," and you're going, "What? The what? The ferrets?" Yeah, apparently the ferrets were an endangered species, but because of our care and our hard work, we brought the ferrets back from an endangered species to an actual species. Now, what does a ferret do? Why is it so important to bring it back? Well, not only is it a good pet for some of you, for others, apparently they attack and kill prairie dogs, which I don't know, is prairie dog a good thing or a bad thing? I don't live in those states that have to worry about prairie dogs, but apparently ferrets attack and kill them. And that's a good thing. At least that's what this article says. So I don't know, do you have a ferret? Do you have a prairie dog? Do you put your prairie dog against your ferret in some sort of cash wager or something like that? Or I don't know. Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine or email me at geekazine@gmail.com. We'll get our heads wrapped around this whole ferret situation because, hey, if that's the case, I'm going to get some ferrets down here to protect this place because you never know when a prairie dog is going to come to attack. You just never know. I don't know. In the meantime, we'll get you on your way. We're going to get into the featured article in a second here, but of course, once again, geekazine@gmail.com or Twitter me at Geekazine. Of course, we do have the phone number at 608-205-4378. If you're a telemarketer, don't call the number because it is on the do not call list. But if you do have a question, feel free to give that a call. We'll be right back with the featured content. Geek Smack is also brought to you by Stitcher. The audio version is over on Stitcher. Go over to stitcher.com/geek. Stitcher.com/geek. Enter in your email address, download the application for your Apple, your Android, your BlackBerry, your WebOS, well, soon no WebOS. But anyway, you can download that and you get a chance to win $100. It's all from Stitcher and Geekazine. So go over to geekazine.com/geek, enter in your email address, and download this great way to listen to all your podcasts in a mobile way over at Stitcher.com. All right. I left for San Francisco, and Yahoo decided to go crazy, and HP decided to go crazy. Of course, HP has been going crazy for the last few weeks now, and I'm not exactly sure what Leo Apotheker was thinking by discontinuing that HP touchpad, but he did, and then trying to sell off the PC division. That was just a complete shock to me. I know that he was a software guy and not as much of a hardware guy. I knew that he was gearing towards the server market, because the server market is a very important and very valuable one. I mean, you make your money off of stuff like that. Of course, HP had the printer division, and it was going so strong, and then we went into a paperless world, or trying to still. So a lot of people aren't buying as many printers or copiers nowadays. But you still need something to run it on. You still need machines. You still need to have an enterprise solution. And he had a good plan to go into enterprise solution. But by making these major, bold decisions, especially knocking off the whole WebOS division, which made a lot of people really upset, a lot of people didn't see the direction was in the right way. So now Leo has been ousted, or he left, or however that really went down to play. And they got Meg Whitman. Meg Whitman was the CEO at eBay, and of course she went for a gubernatorial try, and I believe it was 2009. She lost, of course, for California. Meg Whitman is also the same thing as Leo. She's a software person. She doesn't know the hardware end of things too much. So the real question is is HP still going in the same direction, or are they going to kind of do some backpedaling and saying, oh, okay, the PC division is still around for now? One thing that I have noticed, and they have said, at least somebody said that I've read, was that the WebOS is pretty much not going to take a comeback. At least the tablet is not going to take a comeback. I think that they should bring back the Pre and get into the mobile phone in the mobile phone market. But if they decide not to, that's their choice. I don't know why they'd hold a company like Palm at bay like that. If they're not going to use the WebOS software, they should sell it. They should sell the hardware. They should give it to a company that's actually going to make a tablet and go from there. Now, what does HP need to do to go forward from there? Do they need to do some sort of rebranding? Well, yes and no, a little bit of rebranding. They need to probably get a new logo. They probably need to get a new look and feel. And of course, Meg Whitman, who a lot of people are saying she's the interim CEO, and she'll be replaced within a year or two by somebody else, that she needs to make some good strategic decisions and keep on a steady pace and rebuild the people's trust in HP. I think that's a good way to go. Just have Meg Whitman just kind of say, we're going to sail the sea, we're going to try to avoid the storms, and we're going to get back on track. In the meantime, another company, which is Yahoo, made some really, really big changes in the last 2 weeks. Of course, I expected that Carol Bartz was on her way out. After 2 years, so January of 2009, she just hasn't been really doing too much for Yahoo. She sells off the search. She sells this, she sells that to show that Yahoo makes a profit. But they make a profit by selling something. That'd be like me selling pieces of my podcast. You know, want to buy my webcam for $25. No, I made profit. I made $25 this quarter. I don't have a webcam anymore. I don't have a camera to do any recording. I don't have any microphones to do any recording. So I can't really make a show anymore. So now they have this pieced out Yahoo, which companies like Delicious are gone. They have other stuff that's been retired. I mean, things like GeoCities. I know that's not the best example, but the reality is they still have GeoCities. It's just sitting in mothballs. They have all these technologies sitting in mothballs. And it's crazy. For Yahoo, Jerry Yang, who's already said, no, we're not selling, and then turns around and said, oh, okay, maybe we will sell. He's basically killed Yahoo. In 2 years, Yahoo is pretty much dead. In fact, if I say the word Yahoo, what do you think of? Do you think of a company in 2011 that's really happening, like a Google or a Facebook or anything like that? No. You think of 1999 when you first got on your computer, because the first web page that you had probably on your web browser was yahoo.com. I don't think of Yahoo as anything new. Is the company still worth something? Yes, they have a big, rich business development area, which they technically should split off and they should just give it a new idea, a new identity. But, a lot of people use Yahoo for business and they pay for business accounts and they need to keep those people around or else they're going to switch over to Google and they'll do it quick. So I think what Yahoo needs to do is they need to either sell off the business department or sell off the whole thing. And then whoever buys it rebrands it. Because Yahoo's 1999. It's now 2011. It's time for a new name. It's time for a new idea. And at least that's how I think how I see the whole thing. Two different companies doing two different things, changing the way that you were working. They were doing okay for a while, and then things happened. Of course, Yahoo a little bit longer than HP. HP was doing fine, and then of course the big problems with Mark Hurd made them make a change, and then that change caused upheaval, and now they're not on the right track. What do you think? Do you think that these are good names, good changes? Yahoo is not even looking for a new CEO. At least that's what Business Insider is saying. So would you buy Yahoo? If you had the money to buy Yahoo right now, would you buy it? Would you sell it to Microsoft? Would you sell it to another company? Would you keep the Yahoo name? Is the Yahoo name worth anything nowadays? On the HP side, would you bring back the touchpad? Would you reinstate the PC division? Would you change the course that was just laid out by Leo Apotheker? Let me know. Geekazine@gmail.com or Twitter me @Geekazine. And let's talk about it. Of course, I'll definitely comment back and go from there. You can also find me on G+, and we can talk about it there. So, in the meantime, that's basically it for the Geekazine Geek Smack. We had our own little bugs as we came back on episode 201, but I think I'll have that all fixed by episode 202. So, but in the meantime, if you have any questions, once again, geekazine@gmail.com. Geekazine is my Twitter handle. You can find me on Google+, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on About.me, you can find me on Clout, you can find me in many different places. Just have to look. Of course, geekazine.com is where you go anyway, so get the show notes, get everything else. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. If you're still listening to the audio version, there's a lot of people that do, and I appreciate it, so thank you very much. We do this every single Tuesday, and we're going to do out another 200 shows and go from there. My name is Jeffrey Powers, and I'd like to thank all my sponsors. I'd like to thank you for watching the show, and we will see you next week on the Geekazine Weekly Podcast. So, you guys, I had to burp there. All right. Take care.